Welcome to the Forging Podcast, where our mission is to forge guys into godly husbands, fathers, men, and leaders in their communities. We push out of our comfort zone, face our fears, and grow stronger every day. We strive to be selfless providers, dangerous protectors, loving husbands, fathers, and friends. I hope you all enjoy the podcast. Welcome back, guys, to the Forging Podcast. I hope you all enjoyed the last one with Chris and Grant and their craziness that went on. Did you make it through that?
Not all the way, no.
But you listened to some of it?
I listened to probably most of it.
It was pretty funny. And we got at least one survivor out of the deal, so that was good. So, once again, Brett and Adam are not on. Brett's got a lot going on with the chicken farm and stuff like that, so my wife decided she'd be on. So here she is. And we've kind of been trying to figure out what we wanted to talk about. And we were discussing the other night about marriage and preparation for it and all that, and how poorly we did at preparing for marriage, and how poorly we did at preparing for kids.
We didn't even think of the word prepare.
Yeah,
it was
prep.
Just whatever happens, happens.
We're all about winging it. Hey, we've made it. We've been married 14 years.
Yes.
Yeah, you had to think about that, babe. That's pretty bad.
I did have to think about it.
And we've been together for 15 years.
Yeah, I think because I mix those up sometimes. How long we've been together.
I mean, shoot, we're not far off 15 years of marriage.
No, a few months.
A few more months. Good grief. That's a long time.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays, yeah, that's a long time to be married.
Yeah.
So.
But we made it this far. And she hasn't killed me,
far.
So that's good. All my crazy schemes and stuff that I do, she still loves me. But we were kind of talking, and we just kind of thought it'd be kind of cool to talk about preparing for marriage. And I'm sure there's some single guys on here, and there's probably, I think most guys are probably married, but I'm sure there's some single guys listening. And
women.
Yeah, there actually is women that listen, so maybe they could get something out of it too. That's why I don't have a problem bringing my wife on, or Brett and his wife, or whatever, because we do have women listeners, though this is a man's podcast. But so we figured we'd talk about that. And oh man, I mean, where do we even begin with this whole ordeal of preparing?
We probably should have prepared a little better.
We probably should have prepared better, but we're all about winging it once again. But here, let's do this. So in Genesis chapter 2, verses 18 through 25, is discussing when the woman was created for Adam. And it says, "And the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him." So a helper comparable to him. "Out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every bird of the air, and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatever Adam called each living creature, that was its name. So Adam gave names to all the cattle, to the birds of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helper comparable to him." What do you think comparable means in that scenario?
I feel like in this version, they're trying to make sure you understand that, like companion-wise, like it's a good fit for him, but also comparable, like she's not necessarily beneath him either.
I'm kind of more thinking like she's not like a hairy dog with 4 legs, or a bird flying around. Like comparable to him would be something with flesh and
a likeness of him.
A likeness, yeah, similar to him but not with the same organs attached to his body, because then
There you
we would have some
go.
weird Steve and Steve stuff, or Adam and Adam stuff, and not Adam and Eve. It'd be Adam and Steve. So, and the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall on Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in its place. Then the rib which the Lord God had taken from the man, he made into a woman, and he brought her to the man. And Adam said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother, and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And they were both naked. The man and his wife were not ashamed." I mean, I'm not ashamed when I'm naked with you either, baby. But,
What about in front of your father?
well, that would
Because
be
that's
weird.
how it was
That would be awkward. But,
to them.
so, in preparation for all this, and this is something that I struggled with for sure. I was so used to being on my own, or, with crazy chicks, that I had to just do my own thing, you know. But becoming one flesh.
I don't think we fully understood either. Like when
Yeah.
we got married, like we're like, "Oh yay, we're getting married," and it's like we knew we wanted to be with each other forever, but I don't think we understood what becoming one flesh was. And
Definitely not. At
and
least not for me.
how yeah, and how togetherness like we were supposed to be more of.
Wow. I'm confused after that statement. Oh,
Like I
man.
don't think we understood fully, like we fully didn't comprehend. And I don't know if anyone really can comprehend
Until you
until
get into it.
you're
But
married and you're doing that.
so part of our problem too was are so we went to church, but we were kind of in between churches. But
Yeah.
our relationship personally with God wasn't where it should be.
Yeah.
Especially mine was nowhere near where it should have been. And that, I would say, was strike number one.
Yeah.
Like, that was our first big mistake.
Yeah.
Because even when we were dating, it definitely wasn't where it should be. And I mean,
No, I mean it was even when we were dating, it was a very bumpy. It was pretty bumpy relationship, I feel like.
yeah,
Like we loved
because
each other, but it was like we had a lot of downs versus
and
ups.
a lot of that had to do with me and my temper, and coming out of horrible relationships. I didn't have trust. I had a lot of baggage.
Trauma,
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
there would be like maybe another s- top, or not topic, but another thing to think about is, you know, when I was a young teenager, my parents made me go to counseling because I had a bad temper. I had a lot of I had a lot of issues. A lot of it just stemmed from childhood events. I'll leave it at that, but not an excuse. But that's really, and so Autumn
But
actually,
you can't deal with what you don't even know you got to deal with until you understand that there's so much going on with that. Like if you don't know what things are stemming from, it's hard for you to deal with it. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And you were there, like you had a lot of stuff going on and you just kind of thought, I feel like you just thought like this is just how I am. I don't think you realized that you were the product of things that had happened at that time and you
yeah.
needed healing and you needed you know, like restoration and those things.
I definitely needed a lot of restoration and a lot of
I
that.
think you just thought, "Oh, this is just how I am. This is who I am." And you were just like settled in that like identity of whatever Satan was trying to feed you those lies of who you
Yeah,
were,
I was. on the attack all the time because I felt like I always had to protect myself from further damage. And
Yeah.
so it was, I'm going to attack before I get attacked.
Yeah. Mhm. Or get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a big part of all that.
But sorry I interrupted
No,
you,
you're
but
good.
you just were saying that there was a lot of stuff that you had to
I
deal
had I
with.
had a lot of
But
baggage and a lot of crap going on in my life at that time. I drank a lot. Well, no, when we got married, when we got together, I wasn't drinking. That was
mm-mm.
after my motorcycle accident, and I had quit drinking.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
But I still, I quit drinking. But I was never a hot-headed drinker. Like I was cut loose and had fun when I was drinking. It was when I was sober that I was hot-headed. When I could
Uh,
think straight is when I was on the attack. But but yeah. So when we got, because that's right. Because when I wrecked my bike, you were what, 17, almost 18? I was in '08,
yeah.
and you kind of, I was single. You came to the hospital,
Yeah.
and I don't know, it was just something about it. I'm like, oh, like, man, she's here. Because we were kind of friends before that, hanging out a little bit,
Mhm.
whatever. Because I was best friends with
Yeah,
your
and
brother.
really the only reason I knew, because it was in the middle of the night, really the only reason I knew is because my brother left out so quickly to get to the hospital, and I thought, what in the world
Yeah, me and her
is
brother were
him
close.
and his girlfriend fighting about now? And then I get a call a few minutes later, and my brother had forgotten his to bring his shoes to the
Oh,
hospital. So I had to come, but I mean, of course I wanted to be there. Like they weren't even going to tell me, but I wanted to be there. I mean, I known you for
yeah, I've
years.
known you, yeah, since you were, what, 9?
Yeah, we'd known each other for years. So it was like, oh my gosh, like Jared got in an accident. Like, oh my goodness, you know? So rushed there and gave my brother his shoes, and then they let me come back too.
Yeah, they almost kicked me out of the hospital, which was crazy because of my temper. But this isn't a story about that whole ordeal. That
No,
was kind of
it's
our
just.
kicking
So that
off.
all happened, and then about 6 months or so later, you were healing up, and you were
Spent a
helping
lot of
my
time at your
dad.
family's house.
You were
Spent a lot of
helping my
time
dad remodel the
yeah,
bathroom. Yeah.
yeah.
So you were hanging out a ton. I think I was out of school, or I had half days or something. So we
Something,
would go
yeah.
fishing and
Yeah, I'd go fishing a lot with your dad, and then you came to a lot of those
yeah.
because I was still trying to heal up enough to work full time again.
Yep. And then I think I drove you home once because my dad was like over it.
Your
He was
dad was,
like, I don't know. It felt like it was like 10 minutes. And then my dad was like, okay, well, I'm leaving. I
yeah,
was like, what? Like, we just like got bait, like drove here. And, we'd not been there very long. And he was just ready to go. And I was like, oh, well, did you want to stay longer? Because, because I don't mind staying a little bit longer and, seeing if we can't get
yeah.
anything.
And who wouldn't want to hang out with a cute girl longer?
And I said, if you want, I was like, if you want, I could just drive you home. It's not a big deal. And he was like, really? I was like, yeah. And then I think that started like a
Friendship.
very different friendship. Because I wouldn't say, like, even though I'd known you my whole life, I wouldn't say we were friends.
Yeah,
So
no, we
that
weren't.
started like our
Friendship.
friendship.
Yeah, we didn't actually have feelings for each other even at that time. It was just friends, like
No,
hanging
yeah, we
out.
were just strictly like my family was like starting to put little bugs in my ear about it, and I was like, "No, dude, it's Jared." Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, he's like older than me. Like, why? No, he don't know.
Wow.
And not that being older than me was a bad thing, but I had liked a guy that was the same age difference, probably the year prior, and he was like, "Nah." He's like, "I like you too, but your age difference now it don't work for me."
He's a loser,
And
anyways.
yeah, so I thought, he's older. He's, been through a lot of different relationships already. There's nothing he's gonna want with. little old 18-year-old me.
Oh, you thought that about
So
me
I
or the
thought
other dude?
you thought that
Oh, yeah,
because
I've been
of
through some
other
crap.
people I'd, you know,
But that was the
cared
thing. We
about.
started hanging out more, and it was like I knew you. I knew you from childhood up. Like I've seen you grow up. I mean, we spent a lot of time at your family. I mean, I call your mom
Yeah.
mom before me and you ever were even a thing.
Yeah.
Like you were still a kid, and I was calling your mom mom.
Yeah.
Our families were close, but so I knew who you were, and that was so once again going back to the baggage discussion, like I had so much baggage, and I knew who Autumn was. I knew how she was, how she thought, did things, whatever. And having that wound from past relationships, she had a lot of friends that were guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, I put a
I
stop to
think
that real
all my
quick.
friends were guys,
Yeah.
actually,
And that
because
was it. Like,
girls are
literally, they
mean.
were just guys. And, like, there was no weirdness about it. They were just, because you were kind of a tomboy back then. And
Yeah.
you played soccer and you were into sports. And,
Yeah.
I mean, you fished and, it wasn't,
Yeah.
you weren't this little pageant princess. You're a butt kicker
Yeah.
in
I'll
a
throw
lot of
some
ways.
punches.
She did throw some punches in the past.
We
Not
won't
at
talk
me.
about that. Yeah, not at
But
you.
but so, that was start of our kind of rough patches was, I knew who she was, but yeah, she still had these guy friends. In my past and the situations that I was with other girls, that was something that I had to put a stop to. So that right there already started throwing a wrench in our relationship
Mm-hmm.
because I started becoming controlling. And,
Mm-hmm.
she had to not focus on anybody else kind of thing. And I was just out of fear
Hmm.
of
I
you
mean, I
doing
think
what
it's
other.
good. At that time, I didn't understand, though. Like, I was like, why? Like, they're just my friends.
Yeah.
And so to me, it was really weird. But, like, looking back, like, I don't think it should have been different either. Like, I don't think I should have had guy friends while we were dating.
Yeah,
And
maybe
either
not.
way. Even though, like, I didn't have feelings or, obviously, like, didn't care about them like that in any way. But I mean, I think if I was going to give someone advice that was like me back then, I
Mm,
mean, I would tell them that they're going to have to, like, if they want to be in a relationship with a guy, they're going to have to give up some guy friends
yeah.
because, or, like, if you could create your guy friend to become friends with who you're
Boyfriend.
dating,
Yeah.
that way there's no, like, crazy stuff going
But then you
on.
also have to separate, like, so
So the phone,
the phone
the
situation,
phone
huh?
situation, yeah, it would have to switch over to, your boyfriend or fiance or, whatever. Um, you are your boyfriend is going to be the one trying
Communicating.
to communicate with
Or have
that
group text
friend
messages, which
or
seems
group
so weird.
messages.
Like, sometimes
It's
when some of the people from our church text you, I'm included in the text. And for me, I'm
yeah,
like, I don't really care. Like, so it's funny because now that we've been together so long and been through so much, like I wholeheartedly trust her. So it's like I don't care if somebody from our church, a guy, was texting her about something. It's always on the up and up, anyways. Anybody that's texted you is in leadership of some sort, and they're always been on the up and up. And I know all them, so it's like,
yeah,
but out of respect, now they're group texts. They're not just one-on-one text messages back and forth and all that.
yeah. Well,
So
and for them to not have something fall on them, accusations or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
I mean,
protect her from
it's really just
accusations.
protect. I mean, it's respect, but it's also protecting them
Yeah,
from anyone having a say in
all
any
the above.
way. But yeah, so we had a rough, bumpy road, rumpy,
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 rumpy. It's kind of like the Alabama
rumpy.
roads. Our relationship was like these back roads in Alabama, especially Lamar County. It would be like Lamar County back roads. And anybody that's been through some of them back roads understands what I'm saying.
Goodness,
But
yeah.
so I would say first and foremost is getting into a relationship. You need to work on your baggage, not carrying it into your next relationship because it almost
Hmm.
ended us.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
need
you
to
straight up
heal. You need
said,
to heal. Like, if you have past trauma, you have past issues with lots of things. If you're angry all the time, I mean, there's more things than just anger. It could be manifested in anxiety, sadness, just emotional. It's not always manifested in anger, but
but it can be
there's
control. I mean,
lots of different
controlling
ways.
behavior. I mean, trust issues. I mean, really, that's the stem. A lot of it is trust issues, anger, controlling, and just you're not treating that person. Of course, before you're married, you're not technically one flesh, but this, dating should be a preparation for marriage. You shouldn't just be out hanging out with every chick in the world just because you can. Like, the
Yeah.
goal should be like, I'm seeking a helper, a companion, a wife that's going to become one flesh with me.
Right.
And I was seeking, I don't know what I was seeking in the past, but when I wasn't even looking for a girlfriend when me and you got in it because I was
Mhm.
like, I had enough, man. I went through so much crap. I had enough. And it was then when the right woman came my way. And and I still kind of went to church here and there before, and I kind of went to church with you guys a little bit, I think, after my wreck.
Mhm.
But I really wasn't looking for anything. And you were working up the road from where I lived, and so you'd come and hang out with me and my stepbrother, and and then your brother a lot of times was there hanging out, and we all just kind of hung out and did whatever. But work on your baggage.
Yeah.
I
Heal.
almost lost you because I we started something. Grew we grew feelings for each other, and instead of saying like, "Hey, I need to work on some things before we commit," it was, "Oh, we're committing," and I had all this crap hanging on me.
Mhm.
And I remember the one time say, "I can't be with a guy like you." And I'm like, "Dang." And that next day, I called you. I'm like, "I'm sorry." And I still was a piece of crap after that, but
We still went through a lot of stuff
I
after
hooked
that.
her. I hooked her and got her in.
But
But
yeah, I mean, and also me too. I mean, I had this idea that I was like had a really strong relationship with God, and I really feel like it was not very strong. I had, and I think that that can be its own problem too. Like if you're, it's almost like being so, is it proud? Like being proud. I don't think proud's the right word, but
I don't know what you're trying to
it's like
say.
being so confident that like you're so strong in the Lord that like you can't do things that like you can't sin or you can't make mistakes or whatever. Like,
It's probably pride.
yeah, I
Like you
guess
think that
it's,
you're so close to God and you're doing so good that you're not going to mess up and you're not going to be whatever. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I feel like that was me for a really long time. And just like, I feel like when we got together, that was me. Like, I felt like really confident, but I really wasn't that strong in the Lord, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I'm going to church and I did read my Bible. Did I really deeply dive and study into what I was reading? No. I mean, and that makes all the difference.
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, you can read the Bible all day and not have anything. I mean, yeah, you're reading it and it's going into your mind, but like studying it and understanding it and really like just focusing so much on what it is saying to you and what it is
Intentionally trying
like
to.
really like asking the Holy Spirit,
Yeah.
like convict me, like speak to me while I read what I'm reading today in the Word. And just having those little revelations help you. And then also, like, I mean, I have a study Bible now and I use that
Yeah.
because that's a big game changer too in your walk with the Lord. And so, anyways, yeah, I just feel like I was a little bit overconfident with that. And so I felt like, I made mistakes too in our relationship, but it was like because I felt like I was so good at what I should have been doing that I didn't do what I should have been doing. Does that make sense?
Sure. I'm sure if women are listening, they will totally understand whatever that was. But yeah, so then our next strike, I guess you would say,
Uh-oh.
was sleeping together before we got married.
Well, that's kind of what I was talking about.
See, this is for all the men listening. This is what I deal with
I'm
on a daily.
sorry. I
Like,
should have just
there was
came out.
nothing in that, whatever that was, that insinuated premarital sex. Nothing.
I really felt like people understood that.
Wow.
Oh, okay,
This
sorry.
is the demise. I thought
Okay,
having
yeah.
Chris and Grant on and doing that was the demise of this podcast, but that might be it right there.
Someone's gonna like quote whatever I just said and
Yeah.
put like Kamala Harris on me.
You know what? Yes. Yes, they're going to say, "Oh, Kamala Harris was on Fortune podcast." No, that's just my wife. Sorry, guys. So premarital sex, yes. That's just say it for what it is.
Well, that's what it is,
Yes.
and it can be the death of a relationship also. In my personal opinion.
Yes. Why are you looking at me like that?
I was hoping you were gonna say something to add to that. Because I don't know how to explain what I was
so
thinking.
the Bible wants you to, but the Bible, Jesus
I know.
wants
I
you
was
to
like,
wait.
well, he is the word.
Yeah. But he wants us to wait for marriage.
Yes.
And what was the verse that we looked up a little while ago that said that it's better to marry than to burn with passion?
Well, it was
Remember?
Paul.
Was it Paul?
It was.
Let me see this.
I screenshotted it really quick. Let me see.
To marry, yeah. If they cannot exercise self-control, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion. That's 1 Corinthians 7:9. Marriage is honorable among all, and the bed undefiled. But fornicators and adulterers God will judge. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's in Hebrews. I typed in it's better to marry, and it come up with all these different verses.
Wow.
He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So marriage is honorable
That's
among
what I
all,
had.
and the bed undefiled. The bed is defiled, one, when you have premarital sex. Mm-hmm. That's one way of defiling your bed.
Well, yeah, because one thing with that was hard for me because, you're my one and only. So that was hard for me because there was other people prior and
On my side, not your side.
yeah.
Yeah, I slept with other people. Well, you're just speak
Well,
English, babe. Just speak clearly. Don't.
I
come
felt
on.
like I was being clear. I'm sorry.
No, but they could have assumed that you were the person being
I just said.
naughty.
I just said you're
with
my one and
others.
only.
But even I'm left confused in a lot of what you're saying.
I don't know how I'm being confusing. I'm sorry.
Easy. Listen, Kamala. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was just, I don't even remember now. Now, all
I
I can
was your
think of
one and
is,
only. That's all I needed to hear. But yeah, so I had past relationships where I was premaritally having naughty time in the bedroom,
wow,
and Autumn never
yes,
did.
no. So, I think that was just hard for me in a lot of ways. Like,
Knowing that I did.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, I went to church a lot of my life, and, they always talk about like premarital sex. It's like if you, even kissing, like they would talk about like even if you're kissing this person and then come over here and yet next year you're kissing this guy over here and like not even getting to the nitty gritty of things, just kissing,
Kissing,
they're
man,
saying
that's some.
that that's still giving like pieces of your heart away. And like,
Really?
yeah. So
I
it's
wonder if the
like,
Bible talks about kissing.
I don't
I ain't never read
know.
nothing about that.
I don't know if it like, I don't know. But courting has always been a thing,
Yeah.
and it's very drastically not becoming a thing
Yeah, it's
anymore.
not anymore.
But no, there's people that still do it.
Yeah, but not many.
Not many. But
Not many people save themselves for marriage either, sexually
no.
anymore, which is. And
No,
that's one thing that I wish
that's
like looking back, I wish I could change that. Because I feel like that would have changed so much in our beginnings of marriage.
oh yeah,
Because
for
that was like a
sure.
driving thing. Like, once, I mean, everybody knows. I mean, once you do that, it's hard to not want to do that and allow it to get the best of you. Because you
Yeah.
did have a conviction at one point where you're saying,
Oh yeah, I was
this
like,
is
and I had actually moved in with you, and
yeah.
which I think we were engaged at that
Strike
time.
number 85.
um, I think we were engaged at that time of me moving in, or maybe not. I don't. I
No, I
don't.
think we were still. Shoot, I don't remember now.
It wasn't long after. If I did move in
Oh, you were
before,
only staying once in a while at that point
yeah,
because you were going to school, college still, or you were doing college stuff at that time. Yeah. Yeah.
no,
No?
no,
Oh, you were still in high
I
school.
was in high school.
That's awesome. She was at least 18. All right, guys.
Yeah,
I thought you were
because
just about to graduate.
remember, yeah, it must have been over the summer that I was like moving in
Yeah.
because I didn't have anywhere. I mean, I had to work, but I wasn't like
Well, yeah, and you
I
worked
didn't
right
have
by my
school or
house,
anything.
too, a lot.
Yeah,
So it was like handy. It was
yeah.
handy both for us to hang out and for you to
Slowly move over.
slowly move over.
Yeah. Well, there's issues at my house too at the time, and also that's another thing
There
too is like
was.
I didn't realize how much baggage I had like bringing into like I needed healing from things that I had dealt with in the past, and I didn't deal with a lot of things until recently, really, within
Well,
the
same
last
here, though.
few years. I feel like when you're in your 30s, that's like the time to do it because like
It's like your
I have so
peak.
many 30-year-old friends like in our 30s, and man, we just like that's what we talk about so much lately. Like it's just so many people are working on self-awareness and healing and
That is weird.
just trauma they've been through and they're getting over, and I think a lot of it has to just has to come from you just having your own family, and then it has you really think about things because you're starting that whole cycle all over again from what you learned as a child
Mm.
or what you grew up in. And so it's kind of, I think it's just kind of one of those points in your life where you just grow up. And some people may never get to that. But for a lot of people I know right now, we're really trying to work on ourselves, and because we don't want to reoccur the cycle.
continue the cycle.
Does that sound weird?
It does sound. We just don't want to reoccur the cycle.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Like when you just said it, I'm like, what does that even mean? But
That's,
when I say it in my mind, it sounds so nice. And then it goes.
and just think, when Kamala Harris talks, she probably thinks the same thing. This makes total sense in my mind. It just
Hey,
doesn't come out
I'd
right.
rather be Kamala Harris than Joe Biden.
I mean, they're almost one and the same.
Well,
They're both ding dongs. Either way. So yeah, you don't want it to be a continual cycle, and we
yeah,
don't
I
want
mean, I don't want to have the same things in my life that happen to me reoccur in our children's life.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yes.
redeemed.
Hashtag redeemed.
Yeah. So what else?
Don't have sex
So,
before you're married,
We
because it just
had
causes all
so
kinds
I
of
moved
problems.
in,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of stuff going on in my family at that time, also with people moving in, and I was a bit uncomfortable,
Oh yeah, that was weird.
and oh yeah,
We'll leave it
it's
at
just yeah,
So it was almost like a push too for you to move in because of the weirdness going on at your
yeah, and
family's
then
home.
I had this conviction of like we can't be doing this anymore, and that was really hard for you
Dude,
because you were like, what the heck? Like, God wants us to be happy,
yeah, I
Like,
was,
I don't understand. Like, why wouldn't He want us to be together? And I'm like,
and
it's not that He
and
doesn't want us to be together.
I knew I was just pissed off. It was like
Yeah.
it was like a scared little boy losing his thing.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it was immaturity and just I was scared. Once again, I've been through crazy relationships, been through a lot of crap, and it was just like she's easing away from me. I'm fixing to lose something good. Really, I was thinking, and that was wrong. Because I, in a way, pressured her into continually living in sin against God's will, and that set us up for so much junk to happen in our beginning relationship.
Yeah.
So then here we are. We're getting ready to get married, and we didn't have a home church. She wanted to do counseling, like
Like
premarital counseling,
premarital.
because we
Yeah.
needed it. At that point, we needed it bad. We were a mess.
Yeah.
And because of my counseling period back when I was a young teenager, I said, there ain't no way I'm going to counseling. I
It was like a
was,
trigger for you. It was
dude,
like,
it set me off.
yeah. Anytime I've ever brought up counseling, actually, it was like, no,
Because,
absolutely
yeah,
not.
because of the circumstances as to why I was made to go to counseling to start with.
Yeah.
And
And then, I mean, we pretty much rushed the wedding because it was like we're living in sin and we were going to wait. And then my brother and his fiance had planned their wedding week like the weekend before
that we were
ours
going
or
to do it.
something.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
like,
like,
wait a second.
yeah, it was so weird. And then we were like, let's just like, why do we have to spend a ton of money? And why do we, because my parents were going to help pay for some of it. And I was just kind of like, let's just get it done, really.
But yeah, I'm in
And
favor of not wasting and throwing away money at a huge wedding. It's stupid.
yeah, well, me too. Like
I mean,
and
we
I
had a couple
also,
grand wrapped
like,
into
I
ours.
remember, I remember when I was younger and people were like talking about their weddings and stuff. And I never was that girl. Like, I never was that girl that was like, oh my gosh, we have to, get all the shiny things. And that's just not me. And so a small, dinky, if you'd like to call it, little wedding didn't
Dinky
bother
little
me at all.
little country bumpkin wedding. It was fun. Like
It was about
it was fun.
105 degrees in the middle
Dude,
of August.
middle of August in Florida. Good Lord. But then we got done with our wedding. We rode home on my motorcycle
Yep.
with your gigantic wedding dress. You had it wadded all up on you, and people were honking at us as we were driving by.
Yeah, it was
That
really
was cool. That
Yeah, it
was
was
cool.
really cool. And we were locked out of our house.
Yeah, because my stepbrother had the keys.
Yeah.
So we hung
So
out with the neighbors out in the front yard. Wasn't there like a fire?
no, we went in the house.
Oh, we were
I
in their
remember
house?
sitting in their
I'm
couch.
trying to
I don't think
remember.
I'd ever been in their house before,
No.
but they were so kind and let us go in, and I'm just like in my big wedding
Wedding dress.
dress and
Like we were
just
going to
sitting on
talk
the
about
couch.
rednecks. Dude, it was the epitome of that.
And then we changed and went to St. Armand's with your sister
Yeah,
that
we
night.
did.
Yeah.
St. Armand's went to Kilwins. Got some
Oh
ice
yeah,
cream.
fudge and all kinds of good stuff. That was a good time. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy looking back, I guess.
It really
Just
is.
thinking about.
But it's we're looking back and
Wasn't so
kind of
that long
reminiscing in
ago.
a sense because we're trying to
Give
hopefully put a
perspective.
seed out there for somebody that may be looking to get married and look for things to prevent or avoid or not do until you get married or whatever. Like
We also had kids right away.
we did, but we didn't have any before marriage, so yay us on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did one thing
Yay.
right. But
We were
so
scared a
so
couple
let's
times, though.
kind of recalibrate though. First and foremost, we didn't have a right relationship with God. We
Yes.
both went to church. I grew up going to church. We went to church, but it was just kind of a I don't
Thing
want to
to
even
do,
yeah, it was a thing to do.
obligation.
Yeah, like we knew we should do that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But we didn't have a right relationship with God first. Then on top of it, we went into it with our own versions of our baggage. What are you laughing about? What?
No, I was just hoping they didn't hear me drink my water
No.
on the
She chews
microphone.
her water, by the way. I've never seen anybody chew water, but
And
she
it made
does
me
it.
think of when Blake was listening the one time, and I was like, "Could you?" I was like, "Could you hear me?" And he's like, "That sounded disgusting." He's like, "Don't ever do that again."
Well, there's that. This is as bad as Chris and Grant show. Come on now.
Well,
So, we did not have a strong relationship with God, personal relationship with God. We had our own baggage that we didn't work on before we got into our relationship. I refused to go to do counseling to even work on any of my baggage,
yep.
which I think, looking back, I think premarital marital counseling would be good even if you don't have a lot or I mean you may have baggage you just don't realize it, but even if you're not necessarily having issues in your relationship,
Oh
it
yeah,
would
because
be
they
good to
talk
just
about as from what I've heard from other people, because
we
we
wouldn't
didn't.
know. I mean,
They talk about like how you're gonna futuristically like deal with children, and that could have been a big like deal for us too, because
yeah.
we were we thought we were on the same page with lots of things, but as
Not only were we
some
not
of
on
you
the same
know,
page, we were completely different books.
yeah, I mean, it's
Wow.
yeah.
So yeah, they
So
prepare you for the ups and downs, for the things you're going to be dealing with, encountering, whatever you want to call it. They kind of it's preparation
right,
for getting into this,
yeah. So I
and that
mean,
would have
I would
been
definitely suggest
highly
people
recommend doing some
doing
counseling.
that prior. And there's nothing wrong with counselors. Like, I know a lot of people think, like, oh, I'm fine and I don't need that. And,
Well, yeah.
God's the greatest counselor, which is true.
Find a Christian
But it's
counselor too.
also,
Don't just find some hippie chick on
yeah, I've
the,
heard some crazy stories of my family members using non-Christian
counselors.
counselors and psychiatrists and therapists and all the things.
And it's
So definitely use a church or someone you know, or
yeah. If you got a home
accountability
church,
partner.
you're gonna
Could be
have
pastors,
yeah.
anybody. Not anybody.
No, not
I'm just
anybody.
kidding.
But if you have a home church, more than likely you'll have somebody there that can counsel you. If you don't have a home church, How do you even find somebody if you don't have a home church? Find a church
Well, I
and
would say
just seek out
seek
Christian
out a
counseling. You
church.
can ask friends. I mean, there's so many people that do go to church. You can ask friends. But yeah, highly recommend getting counseling. Just prepare yourself for the challenges that come with marriage. And then got married,
Got married.
rolled out on a motorcycle. That was awesome.
Yep.
And then reality kicked in. Now we're stuck together.
Which we were already living together.
We
So
were.
that was like a little bit
But it was
of
still like
a.
you still had an out, you're living together, but you still got an out until you get married.
Yeah, I'm just saying it wasn't for us. Like, it wasn't rocky in the sense of like we started living together and then it was like all these things happened. We were already living together.
Yeah.
So we kind of already had like a system or rhythm kind of deal going on. And your brother lived there. Well, like,
My stepbrother, yeah.
yeah, we got married and your brother actually lived with us, which is
Well, because
weird
me
to
and my
think of
stepbrother lived
now.
together for years.
It's just weird to think of now, like that actually happened.
Yeah, instead of like us having our own home and starting
Right.
our family,
Which
it was,
I also think it should be that way
yeah.
too.
Looking back, yeah. I mean, dude, we
We did so much like
we did so many
backwards. Like,
things wrong that hopefully
what?
this will help people not do things wrong.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine. I still, there's times when I think back, if we wouldn't have had sex before we got married, how that would have looked like. Because God plans it that way for not, if when you do things like this is what we've been learning even through this podcast and the growth that I've gotten through this. It's like when you do the things that God wants you to do in the order that he wants you to do them in, it doesn't mean everything's perfect and all hunky dory all the time. But when you're living in God's will, life is so much better. Everything about it. Yes, you'll still have a hiccup here, a hiccup there, but we had way more than hiccups. We had Alabama back roads, rough goes.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. So we
Like
got married.
his blessing is on you. Like when you're
Yeah,
doing his will, like
yeah,
what he wants.
yeah. So then we got married, and you were pregnant when, like, it wasn't long after we got
October.
married.
It
August,
wasn't
September,
3 months.
October. It was a couple months later. You were
Oh yeah,
pregnant.
that's 2 months actually.
You
I
were
was.
pregnant. So this was another. This wasn't. This wasn't a marriage issue, but it was something that we weren't prepared for, and that was your first pregnancy. You had a miscarriage,
Yeah.
and this is where the lack of our relationship with God showed pretty strongly, at least for me, because I was upset. Really, God, like almost blaming him and pissed
Mhm.
off at him for us
Yeah.
losing our first baby. And
Yeah.
it was like,
I was just like completely fearful. Like, what if I can't get pregnant? Or
yeah,
what if I get pregnant again and then this happens again? And because I mean, I had known plenty of people that like they just
that's,
can't, just keep on having miscarriages. And it was like, well, what if I can't? And all this fear, which wouldn't have been there really.
I mean, it might have still been, even if we had a strong relationship with God, the fear might have still been there. But how we handled it,
Not
or
in the
how I
extent.
handled it, would have been different,
Hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
And
Just not in the extent of how I felt about it. Like,
yeah,
just so much worry.
yeah, so
And
lost our first baby, and then it wasn't long. You got pregnant with our oldest now.
yep, it's 13.
And what
13
a
now.
mess. Because we still hadn't worked on ourselves.
Oh, yeah. So then
So this
now
is what you got to
you're.
realize. Like, we're still trudging through the trenches because we didn't work on ourselves. We got into the relationship, did a lot of things we shouldn't have done. Now we're married, still not fixing ourselves, but we're married at least. and now we're having kids in the midst of still not working on ourselves and improving our. Are you
What?
are you done? You okay over there? That
What?
microphone's like.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is. Every time
Oh.
you touch your mic.
Well, you were moving yours a little bit ago.
I know how to move it quietly. Just like I know how to drink quietly. I've taken several drinks on here and nobody hears it. So either way. So yeah, well, here we are. Now we're having kids and we're still not working on ourselves.
Yeah, so we had a bumpy Alabama back road in Lamar County, and now we're adding a wagon wheel, old school car.
Adding a wagon wheel.
What are they called? Oh, a stagecoach.
Okay, sure.
Like the old school, like Amish. Well, they're not really Amish, but like.
Like the pioneer days where they had a. Good grief. This is.
Yeah, like the pioneer days. It's like you add that to that road, okay?
So now you're going. You're riding down the road
And
in an old wagon,
yes,
an old
this
chuck
is
wagon or whatever.
yes,
Yeah,
and then add a
covered
few
wagon.
kids in the back
Yeah,
of the
so
wagon.
it just got even more rough because now we get to
and
at
there's
least
no
drive down
seatbelt
rough
back
roads.
there, and they're
Yeah.
just like rolling around.
Yeah,
in
no
the
padding.
back.
You're just getting beat up.
That's like what my mind went to. Sorry.
Because now you've got a crying baby, you've got lack of sleep, all that on top of my hot-headedness.
And you were very set in like traditional way of like, I worked all day, you work at night, so you can get up with the baby. And it was all like me. At least it was. Don't look at me like that. It was.
It was. I had to work.
Years.
I had to work, so
several
you're gonna get
babies.
up. Several.
It
Yeah,
was.
we had a ton of babies.
And I did work at night though. So I mean, it wasn't like I wasn't working.
Yeah.
I just worked at night. So it was rough. Like it was like a lack of support I felt.
Yeah, I wasn't
back
very
then.
good at supporting, especially hunting season.
No. Well, I remember lack of support in lots of ways.
Listen, we're not airing dirty laundry here, are we?
But well, no.
Yeah, it was.
But
It was bad because I was still, so through all this, I was still on this doing everything for myself kind of attitude too. Like,
oh, we were so selfish.
yeah, we were not in one flesh. Still,
Right.
it was. It was, well, I've got all this going on. This is what I'm doing, and you're just gonna do whatever you're gonna do. And it just didn't. We had a kid, and it was that way. So backwards.
And we had our money separate. Like I had my money.
Well,
he
that
had
was
his money.
yeah. And that was because I had bad relationships, and
Trust issues.
I was
Yeah.
not gonna have her taking my money. So I had a separate account. Oh, we need money for bills? I'll transfer some into your account.
Yeah.
Oh, we need money for this? I'll transfer it into your account. It was all about that control. Once again, we were not unified as one flesh.
Right. Well, that's why I pointed it out.
Because we didn't work on our baggage beforehand. And so, that happened for years. I mean, we had separate accounts until we moved up here, I think. Right?
No, I believe before we moved in with my mom and dad
Did we
for
have
that short time.
Did we join accounts at that point?
Yeah.
It was
we
something
had
like
joint
that.
accounts.
But I think I still had a separate account.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Not only for business, but personal too. Because it was still like I was still hanging on to that
that little bit
little
of
bit of
hope,
control. Yeah.
not combining it all together.
Not becoming one flesh.
Yeah, you're like,
I'm my own
one
man.
flesh? But will it be one flesh though? And you're also very stubborn.
No.
So, yeah.
No. I don't know who you're talking about, but it ain't me.
So it was like, if I mentioned something, it was like, you'd be upset about it. And then it was like, I just kind of had to swallow a lot of how I felt about
Yeah.
things. So that was a whole nother thing, is like it was really hard to talk to you about things without you getting upset, overheated quickly.
Yeah.
And then like this whole fight starts just because I wanted to, you know, talk about joining accounts or talk about,
Because it
I don't
was,
know,
you're
other
trying
things.
to relin- I couldn't relinquish any control. Like I had
Yeah,
to fully control everything so that the outcome was what I made it become, not what it could potentially become,
right.
which just drew a wedge between me and you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it actually has a lot of the opposite effect of what
Well,
you
it
hope
definitely
for.
has
I
a lot of
mean,
opposite effects, yeah.
yeah,
But so here we are, a mess, trying
mess and a
to
half.
trying to start a family. And at that time, I was probably predominantly running me and my dad's business. It was growing. We were working a lot all over the place, and I wasn't emotionally or physically available a lot of times because I
Yeah.
was working. And
Yep.
emotionally, I was like, I still am, I feel like I'm emotionally broken in a lot of ways. And
You're very like you were the most insensitive person
wow,
in the nicest way. I mean,
wow.
it's just that it's just true. Like you care about so much. And so I don't mean like you don't have that compassion or whatever. It's just, and like you've definitely changed over time
Yeah,
though. Like
yeah.
when we were first together, it was like I had a friend I remember that had passed away, and you're like, "Ah, well." And that really hurt my feelings. Like that was terrible, and that I think was one of the big deals. Like we had a huge fight. It was like, and I did go on a date with this boy.
Well, come to find out, he was my cousin
He
too.
was he was his cousin,
And I
which
didn't ever know. I never met the dude, but it was like I found out he was my cousin. I was still like, wow,
yeah, because
it's
you were like
messed
my
up.
dad's going to that funeral that you're going to. You didn't take off, like I wanted you to come to the funeral
No,
with me. He
I don't
wouldn't
do.
come to the
I still don't want to go to
funeral.
a funeral. I mean,
I know, but it's just that's that support though.
oh yeah, that thing called support.
Yeah, it's just that. I mean, if like your friend died, I would have definitely went with you. Like that's something that
I know
when
because you
you're
have
when you're in
compassion.
one flesh, that's what you do for your partner. I mean, it wasn't like I was in love with the guy. I just went on one date with him.
Well, that means there was some feelings
No,
at one
it
point in
does.
time. I wouldn't go on a date with somebody I didn't have feelings for.
I didn't have
I
feelings
guess I
for
did
him.
go on a date
To
one
go on
time
a
with
date
somebody
with
that I was
someone is
hoping to have
just,
feelings for.
but to go on a date with someone sometimes is to like learn
See if
about
it's even
them.
going to be. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
I
Back
mean,
then, I didn't
lol.
care. I was like any other dude.
Yeah, I mean, you just had this complete barrier, like
Because
fence
I
up.
was the last girls that I was with, a couple of them, they were just carousing around with whatever dude would, yeah, fill their
Yes.
void.
Yes. So I remember that, and that was really hard for me to deal with without that. And then, just without that support. And it was just like slowly, it was like things just built up and up and up. And it was like, I think I just felt like I was going to implode or
Yeah.
explode. And it was like I needed friends, I needed community, I needed people to help me. Like I had babies like everywhere at that point, I think. I
Babies
mean,
ever.
we
We had like
had,
two. Now we have babies
we
everywhere.
had, yeah, I mean, we were going through a lot of this though, even when the twins were born.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like all of them were born before we moved in with mom and dad for
Yeah.
a little while. So, I mean, this was ongoing. It wasn't like, yeah, that's 5 babies, like Lila was 5. So we had a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and 2 newborns
Hmm.
when the twins were born.
And hey,
So
but I
that's
made sure I
5.
went hunting.
Lord. Yep, he went hunting.
Hey, when
It was
buggy,
literally like 2 days after Gemma was born.
but we were buggy hunting. Like,
Yeah.
it was the opportunity to
Let
take
me
our swamp
ask you
buggies
though,
out.
would you do that again?
Why do you got to ask me that now?
Let me just put perspective for the listeners, okay? I had a 2-year-old and I just had my second newborn baby, and 2 days go by and he leaves me for, what was it, 3 days? 4 days?
Oh, it was
I
only
think
two,
it was 2 or 3 because I think you left out Friday, came back Sunday kind of deal.
probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a hard one because
So,
I would,
I mean,
man. It,
you didn't get anything.
listen,
So,
it's the experience that I'm after, and it hopes to get something. We spent a lot of money hunting and came home with nothing. Well, the second weekend, because that was like when we would do the buggy hunts in the management area, we were chasing deer and hogs, and it was like the beginning of one weekend through the week to the following weekend. And the second weekend was when migratory bird opened up, and we could shoot doves. So I always brought home dove, and we'd eat that. But I almost never brought home anything else. We brought home hogs once or twice, but
not from you shooting them.
look, we brought it home.
Thank you for bringing me home chicken nuggets.
Hey, that was the best chicken nuggets you ever had. Wow. Just wow. You know what?
So
You know what?
ungrateful.
After this conversation, yes, I would go hunting again. I wish you'd get pregnant right now so I could go hunting right now. Oh, Lord help us. But yeah, so I was very selfish and once again doing my thing, not working in unison as one flesh. Because that's something else to think about when you get married. You no longer have the luxuries of always hanging out with your buddies or doing whatever you feel like doing. Now you have a partner. And you know, before you have kids, it's still easy to be able to spend time with your buddies and kind of still do your own thing in a way, but you still have your partner that you've got to be there for and with. But then you have
Yeah.
kids. Having kids is where I think a lot of it drastically changes because now, you know, the good times with your buddies are cut back dramatically if you're doing it right, I think. I don't know. I mean, why are you looking at me like that? It should be. I should
Were
have.
yours cut back dramatically?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I involved you
Just
guys in a lot of stuff. So you should feel privileged.
wow. Oh my god.
Yeah, so I
Privileged
still
to be
was
in the
trying to
presence of you and
live.
your friends.
Yes, I was still trying to live as I was single almost. Not carousing with other women. I never cheated. I never chased after other women. That was never my thing. My thing was having buddy time, hanging out with my buddies. I
Well, that
started.
and helping. Like, you always had, like, a friend that needed help with their truck and it needed this and that. And they were coming over this afternoon, even though it's, like, my birthday. And,
Wow.
like, just putting in perspective. And, like, now you're like, oh, I gotta go help so and so. So, I won't be here for your birthday cake. I'm gonna go over there and
Did I?
help.
I never skipped one of your birthdays.
No, I'm just trying to
You're
make
trying to
it.
make me out to be
This
worse
is
of a
like
guy than I
this
am.
is something that's realistic. Like it
I would
realistically
have done
would
that,
have
though.
happened.
I would have done that though because I was that guy.
100%.
And it's still hard for me though. Like when somebody calls, "Hey, I need help," it's hard for me to say no.
I
And I don't know why
know.
that is. But then my wife says I need help, and I'm like, "Pff, figure it out.
Yeah, I'm
Why
like,
is
man,
that?
I'm like, I really need like some help with the laundry, like dishes, and I just
Okay,
need
let's
that. I
not
just need the
listen.
house. I just need
Listen.
help with the house. Like, we have 8 children in this house right now,
And 6 of them
and
are perfectly capable of helping clean up the mess that they created.
Yes, and there's still a lot of house to be cleaning up.
It's not that big of a house.
It is, though.
It's not.
It really is.
It really. I mean, our house could fit inside Brett's.
Our last house was much smaller than this, and it was much easier to keep up with, and it was still hard with six.
I think you guys need to buck up and
With six
toughen
kids.
up a little bit.
Well, either way, I would mention things like that when we were living in our other homes. And it would be, oh, well, so-and-so's bringing his car over later.
His
and
car?
I've got his truck.
My buddies had trucks. Except for Jacob. He had a car for a long time. But that's all right. I forgive him.
And I've got to help him with this
Well,
and that.
and at that point, too, think about it. I was the president of a truck club. Me and my buddies started a truck club. West Florida Diesel Crew. Whoop, whoop. And,
it's not even
and so we
a
were
thing
always
anymore.
It's not a thing anymore, but it doesn't matter. So we were prepping our trucks on the weekends. So it was like I'd work all week, hard, long hours, and the weekends came and it was like my time to play. And she's here with all these kids. She didn't get any of that. She had to work 24/7 all the time, watching kids, taking care of kids, yada yada. I'm like, hey, buddies are coming over. We're going to work on trucks. And you're like, okay. Because what else are you going to do? When I made up my mind I was doing something, it didn't matter what you said.
Well, if I had something to say, it would be like, shut down.
But that's it, too. Because of my temper and my attitude about it, you wouldn't say a lot because I just would go off.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to tell me what to do.
Things are so different now. Like, it's crazy to me.
Took a lot of growing up.
Awesome. Like, God's just really changed you.
Why is that funny? It's almost like you don't even believe what you're saying.
No, I 100% believe it.
This is the abuse I get all the time. So now I'm getting all the payback for all the time I was mean.
It just sounds so funny.
It sounds so funny. Because I'm still that hard-headed dude.
No, like God really changed you for seriously, so much. It's really awesome to see that growth, that change, and just my prayers be answered. Seriously. But just you looking at me is making me want to make jokes.
I'm giving her that look. You better not say anything else mean about me. Oh, it better be good from here on out. But yeah, so in marriage, you become one flesh. So how,
So don't be acting like you're single and having buddy time all the time and.
Well, yeah, and like now you're committed to a woman. This is your new partner. You're moving away from home. And that's another thing. Now, I didn't have this issue because I moved out at a young age, but moving out from home. Now, we did move in with your parents for a short period of time because we were kind of saving up and transitioning from we're living in Florida, we're going to be moving to Alabama, let's save up.
And we were renting, so it wasn't like we had a house to sell.
Yeah, we were renting, and that was the thing too, is I was self-employed, and if you're a business owner, you understand you always want to show a loss. Well, if you want to ever buy a house with a mortgage, you're going to have to not show losses. And I did that. For a couple of years, I didn't show losses, and all I did was pay a crap ton more taxes.
Yeah.
And it didn't help us.
Yeah, and
but I was just like,
amount was dinky. You couldn't buy a hut.
It was ridiculous. But so either way, so we stayed with your mom and dad, and they were nice enough to allow us to live there with all 5 of our kids, because then you were pregnant. You had Remy, our last one, right before we moved. What?
Yes.
But see, at that point, then it was easy for me to go hunting, easier for me to go do these things, because now you got your dad and mom.
Yeah.
You didn't need me around.
Yeah. That's
what a
terrible.
mess. But yeah, so
it's just terrible.
We weren't working as as a unified
I'm a
body.
victim.
Yep, she is a victim.
Yeah.
Wow. So, still weren't working as a unified body.
Nope.
And that's another thing, too, is finances. Getting your finances in order. That's
Yeah,
a
that's a
big thing
pretty.
because I made good money, but we spent it as fast as it came in. We spent it. And we didn't manage money well at
Oh, yeah. We
all.
made more, we bought more, and we made less, and we scrounged up, figured out how to pay what we needed to, and lived off of fishing and whatever else.
Oh,
And
that was when we first got together. Good grief, we didn't even
and
talk about
then,
that. When we were
yeah,
first starting
and
to live together, that was during the economy crash of '08 and all that, '09.
oh nine, yeah.
And I was lucky to get a couple hours a week in work at that time. I mean, I
Yeah.
went from making really good money in my 20s, really good money. Even to today's time, it would be good money. And I had four-wheelers, truck, car, boat, motorcycle, and I could make all those payments or some of the stuff I owned outright. But it just
Well,
had a
even before
house.
me, you had your house and you had a villa you were paying for. Yeah.
Well, that's a whole
No,
nother.
but I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like,
like I
that's
made good
even
money.
more, like,
Yeah.
which is just crazy. And then
Then the economy
the
hit,
economy
and we
hit.
got together, and we literally were
We
the
literally
money I
fished.
made either had to go to a car payment or to my mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't have a vehicle to get to work because I was self-employed, then I wouldn't have made it to work to get done. So,
Right.
but yeah, we were
And I mean,
fishing,
I
and
just made hard. I mean, I didn't make a ton of
yeah, you didn't
money
hardly
doing
make
what
any
I was
money.
doing.
Yeah, so it was like man, that was rough. I kind of forgot about that. But we were eating fish and rice for a while, and thank God,
And
like
it
it was,
tasted good.
dude, it was crazy
It was
too
so
because
good.
at that time the bluefish were running through New Pass. Every time we went
Every
fishing,
time, yep.
we came home with nice big bluefish.
The Lord
He
provides.
always, man, he always took care of us.
Even when, and I posted on my story or on my feed on Facebook like yesterday, I think, and it was like, it said something, so I'm going to butcher it. Something similar to, I'm so thankful that even when I underprayed, God over provided or
So
over delivered. Like, and that's so true because at that time we were not doing like what we should, like we weren't living how we
nothing
needed
was
to be
right.
living. And so that's just awesome that even without putting effort to
God still
asking, I
loved
mean, I'm
us and took
sure we
care
were
of
like,
us.
God, please, like, help us get some
Well, yeah, it's
fish.
not
You
like
know what
we
I mean?
completely
Like,
abandoned God. It
no,
was
I'm
just,
sure we were praying like
it was
that,
just like
but
our
it
life
was just
was,
like whatever we needed, whatever we wanted. It
yeah,
was more of a selfish way to like pray for things. Like, oh Lord, we
yeah,
need this bill paid. It's like, no, I haven't opened the Bible in 3 months, but please just if you could just cover this bill,
yeah,
we'll read our Bible next week. Or
yeah. It
whatever. You
was,
know, it's just a
yeah.
selfish way to pray.
But even in our sin and our bad behavior, God took care of us.
Yeah.
Man, He always took care of us. He still does, and we
Oh,
still
yeah.
struggle.
And I mean, now it's like we're praying for things to happen and surrendering things in our lives. I, and I've seen so much just within the faithfulness of even just me, like believing for things and knowing that God's going to provide because He always has. He
Yeah,
literally, like, Jared like would get a tip or something and it's like, yay, we got a tip. We can, we would plan like what we could do with that money. And then the septic tank needs to be pumped now because it's overflowing and blah, blah, blah. Or, just every time he would get extra money, we would be like, oh, cool, like we're getting ahead. And
Something
then
would happen.
something else happens, you know? And I don't know if that's like the story for many people listening, because I hear so many friends of mine are like, yes, that's always how it happens, you know?
And it's,
But
yeah,
guess what? Instead of thinking of it like, oh, it's like, wow, thank you for that, Lord.
the
Like,
Lord saw
you
ahead.
did not need to provide, but you choose to provide for us.
Yeah.
And you knew that that was going to break. You knew that that was, you know, the car was going to break down or whatever it might be. And I have no doubt. Like, I'm just so full of knowing God's faithfulness. I mean, look at how you've changed so much. And I prayed and prayed and prayed for that. And man, it seemed like it was never going to happen.
I'm stubborn. What can I say?
Promise you, I really felt like this is an empty prayer. Like I'm praying it, but it's not going to happen. But it has. And it's even now, I mean, he still surprises me sometimes with things he does or just things he says. And I'm like, who is this man I'm married to? Like,
Most
God
amazing
has
man you've ever
literally
met.
just flipped it upside down, and he can do it for your life too, or whatever you're going through too.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember last year we were really struggling financially.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've talked about that at all on here, but
No.
I mean, just praying and praying. And then, you know, it's like literally the month that we had stuff going on, that same month, we started getting income from a different stream of income. And it's just like, and yeah, it was still like a struggle because then it was like we're making up for what, you know, we were still at like even, I guess you'd say. And so it's still like we were still trying to find other ways to make income, and just praying through all of it. Like, I mean, I surrendered. I was like, Lord, like I was in tears and I was just like, Lord, like I feel like our whole life, like mine and yours whole life together, we have like just struggled financially. Like, and I mean, we have 20 kids, so like they're expensive.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's really hard. And I just remember like God just being like, you need to give that to me. And I was like, what? What does that even mean? Like, you know, give that to you, you know? And I was just like, God, I surrender. Like, whatever you want us to do, like, whatever budgeting, like, just anything that it is that you want us to do, like, I'll, you know, just let me know. And it was like to just give him it, like, surrender it to him, give it to him to worry about. Don't worry about it any longer. He's going to take care of you. And that's just what I felt in my heart. And I just remember crying because it was always like that. Like we would have this go out and then we'd get money and then and I was like, I'm so sick of it, Lord. And I
Yeah,
was
we just
just
want to get
telling him
ahead.
that. I
We
was
want to get
telling him
ahead for
that. I'm like,
once
I'm
and not
so sick
struggle.
of this. Like, I'm so sick of it. Like, can you just please, like, help us to whatever it is? And then it wasn't a week later. I think it was just a couple days later. You had a similar experience on your own prayer stuff going on where you felt like you needed to surrender.
Well, and yeah, and that also
Your
was kicked off because we had the conversation with Jason Cook about surrender. And I'm like, man, that's just something that I never did. It was always, see, and this is something to think about too. Women are prayer warriors. It feels like more than we are as men, because my wife prays all the time. Like I don't even know if you told me about that prayer that you were doing about surrendering and all that. Like she just prays for so many things, and I didn't know she was praying for me to change until I had a come to Jesus moment, I guess, and she said something about, well, my prayers are finally working, and I kind of took it as a joke, but it wasn't. As men, we're always trying to just fix everything on our own. Like, I don't, like, I pray to God asking for help, thanking Him for this, thanking Him for that, but I'm never fully surrendering to Him because there's a part of me that believes that I can fix it. I can deal with it. I can do this. It's just, I have to go do these things to make it right. When, if I would just trust God, I wouldn't have to beat myself to the ground to get there, and it would happen. It doesn't happen without Him, anyways. So, getting past me having to control stuff once again.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
know,
and
I
I
always have to
have
control it.
control. I got control stuff too that I deal with, and
But
like,
it's
and so I
amazing.
think that was for me too, like
Yeah.
surrendering that. It was like, it's like I feel like I had stuff that I'm like, maybe I'm not doing something right, or maybe like my budgeting must be terrible, or,
Yeah.
um, or,
And you are
and it's,
much better at budgeting, doing the Dave Ramsey, putting your money in the envelope mess, all that. You're so much better at that because, you know, I remember as a kid, I'd want a toy. I'd want this. I'd want that, whatever it was. My dad's like, no, that's fine. You can have that. Just get your butt out there and work for it. I'm not giving you the money. You're going to work for it. So at 8, I started mowing yards because there was toys I wanted. So it was, I learned that if I want that, I just go work and make the money to get it. And I always wanted something, so I always worked. So I have a really good work ethic, I feel like, because I'm a hustler. But
mm-hmm.
it was, now you got to manage your money. Now you've got to save just in case of that rainy day. Now you've got a house. Now you've got kids. Now you've got vehicles. You've got a wife. All these things.
Start going to church again. Now you got to tithe.
Now you got to tithe. Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't plan for the rainy days. I planned for what I wanted. And when I got what I wanted, I was happy until I wanted something else. It's just like my gun addiction, you know? It's like I buy one and I love it. And I still love every 2 of my guns that I own. All 2 of them. I love them.
Yes, because there's only 2.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But,
I have more than 2.
oh, yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
All 2 of ours.
2, wink,
But
wink.
either way. But, you know, I see another one. I mean, look, when you walk into Jim's shop, Bluegrass and Bullets in Hamilton, and you see all of that, it's like a teenage boy
It's like a toy
sitting
store.
on the beach looking at all the young girls in bikinis. That's the best way I can explain it. I walk into that gun shop and I'm just like, oh, it's like you open the door and the angels immediately start singing. Oh, and the beauty that is upon each shelf and in each cabinet is just mesmerizing.
You know where I feel that feeling at?
When you see me, I know, I get it, yeah. Is that not where you were going?
No.
Probably Starbucks.
No.
Oh, no?
The thrift store.
The thrift store. Wow.
I'm
Wow.
like, look at all these brand name clothes I can get for about a quarter of what
Wouldn't
they
that be
pay.
awesome if they had gun shops like that?
They do. They're called pawn shops.
They're not. Sometimes you can find deals there, but they're still not cheap. It's like, oh, look, this Kimber in this thrift store is only 25 cents. It's like, no, it's still 800 to 1,000 or more dollars.
Oh,
You know,
well.
no thriftiness about that. But that's beside the point. Getting off track here. Where were we? Where were we before you got me so sidetracked on guns?
I think we got a little off topic.
Is that your version of Brett?
Yes.
Wow. Brett, you heard it. You heard it firsthand. That is you in a female voice. That is crazy. So, surrendering.
Yeah.
So that was that.
surrendering our finances and I really don't know how we got to the
Yeah,
gun.
because now I remember now. It was because we were talking about how growing up, I
Oh,
worked
you're
hard to get
buying
what
a
I wanted, but I
toy,
didn't prepare for rainy days. I didn't prepare
and
and
now an
put money back.
adult toy to you are guns. So
Yes.
you go to the toy store when you're done
Daddy's
working,
going to the toy store. Yes.
and you're like, okay, which pretty
Yeah, it's
shiny
like
thing can
no
I
longer is
buy?
my purchases like $10, $12. It's
Hundreds.
and now I'm looking to get another truck, so thousands.
You're always like that.
I'm always looking to get another truck.
No, no, no,
Oh,
no. You're always like big purchases. And then
that's
I'm
why I
like,
work
I
so
think I
hard.
want to go get my nails done. And you're like, we could put that towards a gun.
Is that how I
What?
sound? Wow. We can put that towards a gun. I mean, priorities, babe. Here's the thing. Here's what you got to think about in that scenario. My gun won't lose its value, but your fingernails are going to get crusty. They're going to
That's
grow
rude.
out. The paint's going to fall off. You're going to have to trim them, and you're going to have to get them done again. But once I buy that gun, it's there. And how many times have I had to sell a gun to pay bills? And it worked.
A few times.
So I'm just saying, you can't sell your nail job to
What
pay
can I
bills.
collect that's high value that
Guns. I think you should start collecting guns. And we can have more than two between the two of us.
well,
I'm just saying. That's a good retirement plan. See, I got her wheels turning.
might be able to get the kids through college or something.
No, they're going to have to work to put themselves through college. Let's not get on that tangent because you know I will go on a tangent
Okay.
about
Well,
the indoctrination clinics called colleges. So, finances. Get your finances figured out too. Dave Ramsey, his course is really good for that.
I've heard of some other like theories of other people, but I think Dave Ramsey makes the most logical sense to me. Although, like, if you have several credit cards, I honestly feel like if you have I mean, it depends. Like, cause he says to do the cheapest one, like the lowest balanced one first, pay that off.
Why
But
don't you just tell them
but a
to
lot
do
of
the Dave Ramsey
times,
course instead of us trying to explain that?
well, I was just gonna say that like sometimes paying off your higher ones makes a lot more sense because of all the interest
Yeah.
that's on it. But
But it makes you,
that's
it's like a
kind
snowball effect though. You pay off the little ones and it gets you kind of excited. It's like, man, I got this one done. It gets you excited to get the next one and the next one, and the next one.
of, yeah.
But the point of this conversation is getting your finances right because we've had a lot of fights and arguments over finances, over our spending and lack of saving and always, being
I
behind,
think that's the
really.
most, I'm pretty sure it's the most conflicted topic between
Isn't it
spouses.
that one of the highest reasons for divorce is
Yeah.
money? So that's something else to think about.
Finances and probably children.
Oh, man. Good old children. But yeah, so get your finances in order before you get married. That was definitely another thing that we did not do was get our finances in order. And it was just a
Yeah.
struggle forever. Then you have kids, it doesn't help. You don't get your finances in order because you have kids. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
So getting these things done ahead of time, well, it doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect once you do all this, but it's going to be a lot easier. Instead of Alabama back roads, you'll be on Alabama highways. Never mind, that's still bad. That's still bad. I-22 is pretty smooth sailing, so we'll say it's more like that. But with the occasional bump. But finances. So working together, being in one flesh, getting your finances together, huge.
Heal.
Working through your garbage,
Yeah. Healing.
healing. But then, like Autumn was saying too, she prayed a bunch for me. So say you're in a marriage already that you're having these struggles. Pray. Your prayers are not falling on deaf ears. God hears. And in due time, when whoever you're praying for stubbornness gets out of the way, they'll come around like I had to. But saying that too, like we should always be praying for each other
Mm-hmm. Praying
and
for your
our
kids.
children and the future of all of our lives too. So prayer should be a strong focus in your marriage.
So, so in here it says Proverbs 24:27. Prepare your outside work, make it fit for yourself in the field, and afterward build your house. What do you feel like that means?
Read it again.
I'm just gonna look for a different translation,
I
which
mean, because
could
I'm
be a terrible
getting
idea.
get your crap together before you.
Mm-hmm. And Hebrew culture was like when you started building a house for your like when you start building a house, you literally live with your parents. And then when you start to build your own house, it's because you're going to be marrying soon. And when you finish building your home, that is when you and your wife consummate the marriage and are now married. So I feel like knowing that preface of how that
It's like,
works,
yeah, he's getting
it's
his life in
saying,
order. He's getting all his stuff in order. Getting my baggage taken care of, getting my finances taken care of, getting all these things taken care of ahead of time. So that way, once I get married, the house is prepped. It's
yeah.
ready for us to move in, and we can start fresh as one body, as one unit, and move forward with that
So
understanding.
this is the NLT version. It says, and it's Proverbs 24:27. Do your planning and prepare your fields before building your house.
Mm.
So yeah, I feel like that is literally like
Get your stuff together
get your
before.
ducks in a row.
Is that possible? We got a bunch of ducks, and they are all over the place.
Yeah, they don't quite go in a row.
No, sometimes you see them in a row, but a lot of times they're out in the street or all over the place, next to each
Yeah,
other,
in a cluster.
in a cluster. So, what else? So then,
I feel like that's pretty good. I mean,
yeah, this was a conversation about preparation.
yeah, preparation. You need to seek after God
So, number
first and
one, put God
foremost.
first,
Hmm. Seek first the kingdom of God.
and all these things will be added unto you.
Yes,
But that was in reference to something else.
but that's okay.
But that's
It
okay.
still works.
It does still,
Second,
it's still applicable.
heal. Make sure if you got trauma, you got baggage, you got issues, you got relationships, maybe you haven't even fully ended yet. Um, there's like, I mean, man, there's like a crazy list that I could just say right now. Like, there's so many things, but just so I feel like the word heal is a good one
Yeah.
because healing, um, putting the past in the past and just deal with your stuff. Because if you just shove it in the back corner of your closet and later down the road you got kids and stuff, it's going to pop out when you're digging
Even before
for
that,
something
it can
else.
rear its ugly head pretty
Yeah,
quick.
yeah,
So
even
being
before
open
that.
with your
So,
partner too
yeah.
about your baggage, about this stuff. It's like even so, say you get into a relationship with somebody, like having them understand, like I have a lot of crap that I'm dealing with.
Mhm.
So maybe work on that. You could work on that together before you get married, or I mean, you might end up just getting married and you still have all this crap, but work together with your partner on it. Not try to do it alone. And I think I did that too. I try to just deal and cope with a lot of stuff on my own without just opening up to you
Oh,
and
I didn't
talking
even
to
know
you.
what your problem was most of the time.
I didn't know what my
Like, you
problem
just
was.
reacted and were mad about things, and I was just like, really in just the blind about it, or
Yeah.
in the
Well, and I think honestly
just I didn't
too, I
understand.
didn't. When I did the forgiveness podcast, I think is when it fully made sense to me when I was studying up for that because I went on that forgiveness journey months before we actually talked about it on the podcast.
Hmm.
and a lot of emotion, a lot of things came up that I guess I didn't maybe fully realize that that was a root cause to who I had become.
Mhm.
And it
Kind of
exposed a lot.
like Miss Chrissy talking today. It's like she was talking about like when you get offended or something happens to you, like you can literally. This is our pastor's wife. That was speaking today for Mother's
Today's
Day, and
Sunday. People don't know that it's
oh,
Sunday that
sorry,
we're
yeah,
recording.
and it was just it was so good. She pretty much laid out her testimony, and she's basically talked about how she was offended by something, and she just let it fester and fester, and you know, so much time had gone by or however, and she was just angry and had no joy and was just upset with just everybody, it seemed like, and she had a bad attitude, and she was having a really tough time because she felt like that identity had been like her identity in Christ had been hidden behind all this junk that
Hmm.
she'd allowed to just manifest in her life. And basically, her husband called her out and said, "You are not these things. Like, you are a child of God. You are wonderfully, beautifully made. And, that is who you are." To get her out of that funk that she was in.
So
And
fight
I
for each
mean,
other, not against each other.
oh yeah, you gotta get on your knees and pray and
But
really
see, in that
fight
moment, he was fighting
that fight.
for her. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And
A lot of
I'm
times
sure
we
that was
fight
hard
against
for
each other
him.
because,
I'm sure that was hard for him too because I bet you she was not very nice to him at some points
I'm
during
sure,
that time too.
yeah.
Like when you let things overtake your life like that, you let Satan run his course through your life. You could be a very not nice person. And I just could see that happening. And instead of him getting angry and being like, "You are this and
Like I
that,"
would have
and
done.
yeah, I
Instead
speak
of,
from experience.
wow.
Instead, instead of him being like that, he was like, "Girl, like, you are beautiful. You're a child of God." At least he didn't say all these things specifically, but she said that she
These are
started
things that you would
speaking.
like to hear, is what you're
She
saying.
was saying that he was speaking like life over her,
Yeah.
and that's just how I took it when I was listening today. Um, and
Yeah, he
that's
was
just
speaking
so,
life over her. And, the Bible does say that life and death is in the power of the tongue. He
yeah,
could have tore her down and
and been like, "Yeah, you
belittled her
shouldn't do
and,
that."
all that, but instead he built her up. He spoke life into her.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, the revelation came that she's like, oh, wow. Like, she even forgot
She
about
said it
what she was
was,
offended about. It was,
yeah, she said that her blinders had been taken
yeah,
off, and she just saw who she really was, like in Christ, and that she's like, she pretty much said she thought that she could have just spiritually died in that,
yeah.
just with that little offense. And she said it was something where, like, the people that offended her,
Didn't
they
even
didn't
know
even
it.
know.
Yeah.
Like, it was just something she took so personally and just let it manifest over her whole life. And I mean, I've definitely let that happen.
Yeah.
Hey.
So this, no, I was just saying, even for me, and that's why I had to go on that forgiveness journey, which I
Yeah.
hate the word journey, but being quick to forgive. I mean, okay. One thing that I had a hard time to doing for the longest time, most of my life, was lack of forgiveness. And you get married, you become one. Do you want to be forgiven? When you screw up, when I screw up, do I want to be forgiven? Absolutely. Do I want them to say, man, I realize, you were just in a bad spot. I forgive you. Like, we'll just move past this. But I was never able to always do that. It was hang on to that so that I could use that in the next fight against you. We're not battling each other. We're a team. When you're playing ball, everybody here loves playing ball. So That's a good analogy because a lot of our listeners are local. When you're on this team, if every teammate was working against each other, you're not going to win the game. You're going to lose every single time. Just like in marriage. If you're working against your spouse, it's going to end up a lot of times in divorce. If not, a very bad, rough marriage. So working together is how you get through all these hard times and all the hard moments, etc. And I know I struggled. I was married, but I was still doing everything from my own and battled against you a lot. So we need to remember that in marriage we are unified as one body. And I don't fight myself. I don't fight against myself. So why would I do that to my spouse? She's part of me. She is one with me. So I should be fighting for her, not against her. Fighting with her, not against her. This is a team effort. And we are a team working together to get through this thing called life.
Marriage.
Yeah. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, life's hard too.
life is hard. Life is, and that's the thing. Life is hard enough as it is.
Yeah,
To
like,
then be battling your spouse or your kids or
and you come home and you're
whatever.
like, oh yay, I'm home, and
Yeah.
oh yay, I got kids that are up my butt and asking me 100 questions.
I mean, that sounds
and
like your everyday life.
oh yeah,
You're like, oh, I'm
it kind
home
of is.
and my kids.
But I was saying it like you, like
Yeah.
like, oh man, I gotta come home to this crazy nagging wife and blah blah blah.
Was it better to live
So
on a roof than to live with a nagging wife? I think there's a saying like that. It's something in the Bible. I'd have to find it. I probably misquoted it
oh
wrong,
yeah, it's
but
the
it's
corner of the roof.
corner of the roof than to live
It's
with a
better to
nagging
live on the
wife.
corner of a roof than live with a contentious woman.
Yeah, it's almost better to live on a bed of nails
Yeah.
than live with a contentious woman because
And
it's
I've
rough.
definitely been a nagging wife. 100%.
I'm glad that you
I
said it and
mean,
I didn't have to.
I know I have. I feel like a lot of it though was because of the lack of support.
It was. It was 100%. If I was the
'Cause I don't
husband that
think
I
I
was
do that
called
much.
to be, we would have avoided so much. I mean, what was it? Year 2 or 3 when we were married that it was like we just didn't even care about each other at that point. It was we weren't planning on divorcing, but it was like we had zero connection anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was ridiculous. And I don't know
Yeah.
what actually happened to make us click out of it, but
I
it was just
don't
like you
either. I
finally
think
were
we were
like
just so sick of
we were
each other's
sick.
crap. Like we
Yeah.
were just so like done.
And it was like we need I think you even said I think you're the one that came to me and said we need to talk.
Mm.
And it was just like we came to that revelation that this isn't working. We can't. When we first got together, the agreement was divorce is not an option.
Mm-hmm.
We'll always figure out how to work through it. And I'm glad.
which is a hard thing to go off of when
Well, shoot, because now it's
all
so
this
easy to
stuff.
get a divorce. It's just common now.
Mm-hmm.
Why fight when you can just divorce? And man,
Yeah.
I can't imagine at that point in time of our life, a lot of people would have divorced.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd just been done with it. But daggum, why give up that easy? Why let the devil win?
Mm-hmm.
We have an amazing marriage now,
Mm-hmm.
which would have never happened. And you know, if we would have divorced and got with somebody else, we would have gone through. I think everybody goes through struggles in their marriage to the point of you could divorce over.
Mm-hmm.
But it's your determination of saying, no, I'm going to fight through this and we're going to get through this and not give up. And that when you come out on top, it's so, like, I can't imagine giving up like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just insane to me.
Well, see, I mean, I remember I was for divorce at that point, and I had thrown that word around quite a bit,
You
and
did.
you were like sick of it. But I was like, well, then something needs to change, bruh.
Yeah, I needed to change.
Like it
A lot of it
was.
was me. Because I think a lot of what you ended up doing, and you never were unfaithful or anything like that, but a lot of what you did was just either out of spite towards me because of how I was treating you and how I was.
Mhm.
I just created a monster in you. And
Yeah.
so, whatever. So, I guess if nothing else, you're a team. Work
Yeah.
together, fight together. Get your relationship with God right first. Stay abstinent till you're married. Get your finances together. Get your baggage dealt with. Do premarital counseling. And even while you're married, we've actually talked about doing counseling.
Yeah.
You've brought it up, and be honest, I'm still hesitant because of my past with counseling. But I would do if she said, "Baby, I really want to do it," I would do it now. And we have a great marriage. But counseling doesn't only come because you're in a bad place. It can also be preventative maintenance. You change the oil in your car because you don't want the engine to blow up sooner than it should. You put air in your tires and keep the air up where it needs to be so you don't have a blowout. Like, preventative maintenance is necessary to keep you grease my tractor. I got to grease my tractor every so often because I run it and I don't want it to wear out sooner than it should. I don't want my marriage to end before it should or ever. I don't want it to end ever, and it won't end until death. But preventative maintenance keeps you going and helps you get past some of the rocky stuff or prepare you for what could come or just
Trying to
kind of
remember
fine tune you a little bit.
the last time I brought it up, and I think it was just like I I realized because of stuff that we'd been through, there was I have triggers with certain things.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I would consider I'd been through trauma with things with you, but
Probably in some ways.
I
Verbal abuse was pretty
remember
strong with our relationship
but I remember something happened here and it was it just brought me back to how things
because
used to
as
be.
amazing of a husband as I am now, I still have moments
Oh
that I
yeah, and
still
it
work on.
wasn't really that's the thing though. It wasn't really anything that you did. It was just reminded me
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
and I super 100% overreacted. And it just was it was just kind of a revelation to me of oh, I'm not over some things.
Mm.
And I mean, I think when you've been through, you know, a lot of things in your marriage, abusive things or whatever, even unintentionally, you
Yeah, I was never
never.
physically abusive, but I
No,
was
no, no.
very, I guess you say emotionally
Emotionally or
abusive,
verbal
verbally
or
abusive, yeah,
um
which still causes traumatic events.
but yeah, so I think that and being in this, my 30s, the season of healing, self-awareness,
Yes.
on my journey to
Oh,
self-awareness.
wow. This is special.
um I think that it's just made me want to keep thinking about things that I may overreact to, or even just any day, if I overreact to something, I'm like, why am I doing that?
I mean, you are a female.
Like,
Females do tend to
rude,
overreact.
freaking rude. I think to myself, is there a reason? Am I just hormonal, or, is it something else happened today, or is it a trigger for me? Because I think that that's really important for you to understand about yourself so that you can do better, not overreact next time,
Hmm.
because it really makes you look childish too. When you overreact and you're acting this way, it's I think a lot of the time you come off as really a kid throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just not a reputation I don't think anyone would want to
What's
have.
that? Yeah. Well,
So,
and looking back on even how I was, it's
but,
like it's embarrassing to think about
oh
the guy that I
yeah,
used to be.
yeah. I mean, same here.
Like,
But
daggone.
um, but yeah. So I guess just to say that to just I don't know say that was it.
Wow. Well, it is almost 1:30 in the morning, so I guess at
Oh,
this point it will be a little babbling, but that's okay.
yeah.
It is super
I'm pretty
late,
tired.
and I got a bathroom to finish remodeling tomorrow. So, with that, I hope that whatever we talked about made sense. And I know Kamala Harris over here, she had a few ramblings, but hey,
I tried my best. Well,
you did.
I knew with last week's podcast, I had much lower standards.
Wow, that was probably one of our greatest podcasts, and here you are dogging it. I'm sorry, Chris and
Oh.
Grant, for her negative comments towards y'all in our conversations.
I hope I don't see them soon.
Oh, I'll make sure that we have a get together with Chris and Grant.
Oh, kidding.
Oh man. But either way, I hope this kind of made sense, and I hope that through our life's struggles, somebody can glean a little bit of something out of this and say, I don't want to learn the hard way. Let me
Yeah, use
heed a little
wisdom
advice.
and don't do what we did.
Yes, because it was rough. Doesn't mean you can't get through it all, but it's a lot harder than it should be. Trust me. So, either way, we appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me and my wife. It's fun having you on sometimes, Boo.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. I mean, sometimes I don't want you near me or my microphones
Well,
with
yeah.
your crazy drinking and your Kamala Harris moments. But I love you.
I love you too.
All right, guys. We're gonna end this thing. We love you guys. We appreciate you. And we out. Thank you guys for listening. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram and follow us so you can stay up to date with latest podcast drops and content. Also, feel free to leave us a review on whatever streaming platform you're listening from. We'll catch you next week.